and we'll kick this invoice and statement delivery presentation off.
Yeah, it sounds like a game plan to me, Ben. So,
Awesome.
for everyone on the call, this is our fourth episode of Toolbox Tuesday. Today, we're going to focus on invoice and statement delivery. So, for all of you on the call, if you have any questions throughout this presentation, please feel free to throw them in the chat box. We love getting questions. I know Ben is geared up and ready to go on that. But what we're going to focus on today is we're going to talk about invoice and statement delivery setup. We're going to talk about sending invoices, credit memos, and payment receipts automatically from a dashboard as well as a job queue and invoice and statement delivery. Talk about sending customer statements, overdue invoice notices, and of course, creating, managing, and sending recurring orders and invoices. So without further ado, we know we have not too much time on this Toolbox Tuesday. Want Ben to get everything. Ben, let's take it away.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you, Grant, for that. And just like Grant said, we're going to be going through various different features today in invoice and statement delivery. I'm actually going to start with our setup here real quick. And Grant, can you confirm that you can just see the screen real quick? Just want to make sure that I'm showing that.
Yes, I can, Ben. You're good.
Awesome. Perfect. So once you get our tool installed and downloaded, you can generate a demo key, which will be good for 30 days. If you type ISD into the search box, this will actually pop up all of the different features that we have within invoice and statement delivery. So I'm going to go into the setup real quick. Again, like I mentioned, just generate the demo key after you've downloaded it. That will give you 30 days of a free trial. After that, please feel free to reach out to Grant and I if you're looking to license it beyond those 30 days, which we hope that you will. And once we get into this setup, there's a few key things to note. So the general tab, you'll notice that in the test email address, I've got my own email set up here. That's going to override any of the emails in the system for today. So as we test, it's only going to send those to me. Then as we get into the functionality, kind of those core areas that Grant talked about, number one is the auto email. So in invoice and statement delivery, we've tried to kind of aggregate a bunch of different AR and customer features, right, that people are typically looking for on the accounts receivable side and managing their customers, right? So this auto email is actually going to be one of the only internal emails that we look at today, but this is actually sending your AR aging report directly to your inbox. So we use this tool internally. A lot of partners that are selling to their clients use it internally. And of course, a lot of our clients use this to help facilitate that report. It'll show up either every morning or every evening, whenever you define directly in your inbox. So a very cool feature there in terms of auto emailing your AR aging report. Then as we get into some of the actual documents, like Grant had mentioned, we can email invoices, credit memos, payment receipts, and statements, as well as past due reminders. And then we also have the ability to do recurring documents. So as we're going through this, you'll notice that there's an email upon posting option. That's going to be option one. So what this is going to do is immediately as you post the invoice, the credit memo, or that cash receipt for an invoice, it's automatically going to email that out to your customer, right? So if it's an invoice, it's going to send the email body that you define here. That's rich text HTML, so you can put links in here to payments. You can put some wildcards in here to drive things like what the amount due is or the due date, things like that. And then immediately when you post that document, it's going to send it out to your client. The second option is to turn that off and send it from a dashboard, which we'll show. And then the third option would be to turn this off and then have a job queue run all of your invoices at the end of the day. So we're going to do a demo with the invoices specifically, but the functionality will work exactly the same with credit memos and payment receipts. So with that, I'm going to jump into a sales invoice real quick here for us to kind of demonstrate what that looks like. So in terms of setting up the actual AR documents themselves, whether it be a sales invoice, a sales order, a credit memo, payment receipt, all those different things that we looked at originally, this piece is just going to be kind of out of box Business Central, right? So select your customer. I've got a pop-up note from another extension that I'm using there. Select your item that you're going to sell here. Another pop-up note. We'll come over here, just give it a quick location. I'm going to buy 3 of these or sell 3 of these today at $9.50. So my total invoice is going to be $28.50. And then I'm simply just going to go ahead and post this. Now, as I'm posting this, it should also be emailing me. And remember that since I had that test email set up, this email is going to come directly to my inbox. So let me go grab that real quick and surface it here on the screen. No, I don't want to see the posted version. So as I do that, immediately I got this email, right? So up top, it's going to say what company it came from, what sales invoice number it is, who the customer is, and then some of those wildcards that we looked at here, right? So this is your posted invoice number, this is the customer name, the amount due, and the due date. And then I've also got a payment link here that I could click on and immediately process the payment here. I've also got the sales invoice attached directly to my email. Let me pull that down. So again, nothing is changing for you or your client. You're simply continuing to work with the data as is. But when you click that post button, it's actually immediately sending these invoices out to the customer. Now, the way that you define that, if I come back to my customer card specifically, is through a few fields that we've added to the actual customer card here. So if I go into that customer that we just interacted with, there's a few different document delivery options here that we can see. So we've got an AR email. If you populate this, it will send all AR documents to this email. If you want to get a little bit more granular, you can click the ellipsis here and actually define different emails for different document types. So that was actually a recent feature that we added that was requested by a few different clients and partners, actually. So we always like to take the new ideas and add those into future releases as well. So if you see anything that could improve the product, please drop us a note, because this came from a few actual clients that were using the product. So again, just some more flexibility there. In addition to the email that it got sent to, as we get into the statements here in a second, there's also some options as to how you can distribute statements and invoices. So in this case, when we do the statement in a second, the statement will send one statement file and then separate files for each invoice as that statement is sent out. For the invoices, if we were to send more than one invoice at once, again, that would be more from the dashboard perspective that we'll go over in a second. It's actually going to consolidate all of those invoices into one email, but then have separate files. So you could select 5 or 6 invoices for one customer. It'll send them one email with 6 different attachments for that. Then we just have some additional kind of toggles on and off for various things that you can override. We won't get too deep into that today, but do just want to show that there is a lot of flexibility here, even the flexibility to add custom email subjects and bodies for AR emails and sales invoices and things like that going out to your customers that would override that global setting. So a lot of flexibility here. We could spend all day on this, so I'm just going to continue to move forward, but that is the gist of the customer card setup. Now, we've showed you already how to get those invoices out via post. That was option 1 that Grant talked about. Option 2 is going to be the invoice delivery dashboard. Again, if I type in ISD into my search, you'll get all of the different things that we have available here. I'm going to go into the invoice delivery dashboard here. And what this is going to do is it's going to show me all of the invoices that have been generated, and then give me things like timestamps, who sent them, how they were sent, and things like that, right? So here I can quickly see that today we just sent one at 11:05. I'm the person who sent it. Today's the scheduled delivery date, because we didn't add any requirements at the customer that it sends on Friday or Tuesday or Wednesday or anything like that. And then we can also see that it's been sent once. Now, I could come into this delivery dashboard. Let's say I had the posting turned off. I could come in here and send them all by a click of a button via this dashboard, right? In this case, I've already sent it, but I can go send it again. Maybe they didn't get it, or maybe they misplaced it or accidentally deleted it. I can come into this invoice delivery dashboard at any time and reprocess those invoices just with the click of a button here, right? So it's going to say, do you want to email them? Here it's just warning me that I have already sent it. So it's just saying, do you want to resend it? And I'm going to click yes, click OK. And now it's been sent a second time, right? So it will continue to send those as many times as you'd like. You can always come in the dashboard and send those manually. And again, here's the email that I just got at 11:10. You can see here, same exact thing that we sent originally from post. So that's option 2. And then option 3 is if you don't want to send it upon posting, it'll always send it to the dashboard. And then you can also run a job queue at the end of the day in order to help facilitate these things. So if you want to run the job queue at the end of the day, it'll just take everything that hasn't been posted yet, and it'll go ahead and send them all at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever time you define on that job queue. So that's a little quick run through on the 3 options that we have there. Again, that's going to apply to any documents you're posting. So the invoices, the credit memos, and the payment receipts. The next thing that I'm going to look into, which I'm going to go back to the ISD dashboard real quick And while I navigate here, Grant, are there any questions yet in the chat that anybody in the audience has? You're on mute if there are. I don't see any yet, so I'm going to keep going. But please feel free to drop questions in the chat if any come up. We'd be happy to answer them as we go here. So next thing, we've talked about invoices, we've talked about credit memos, we've talked about payment receipts. The next two things I'm going to talk about are from a statement and a past due reminder standpoint, right? So we've gotten the invoices out to them originally, but now we need to remind them either that they have some past due invoices, or we just want to send them a statement at the end of the month, right? So both of those pieces would be configured here. For the past due reminders, you define what cadence you want to send those on. So in this case, I've got my email date formula as 1 day. So that means 1 day after that invoice was originally due, it's going to send our first reminder out. And then the email interval is 7 days. So every 7 days after that, it's going to continuously send another reminder until they pay us, right? So in this case, literally every 7 days, every time it hits that mark, it's going to send them another past due reminder for those invoices. Now, you can set that up again to run on a job queue, or you can review these manually once a week to see like what needs to go out and send them. So I'm going to show the way to see the dashboard real quick, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to go to ISD again here.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah, go for it, Grant.
We do have a question that came from Pete in the chat box while you're navigating. So
perfect.
Obviously, you have logging of the emails going out in the dashboard, but will the emails also be added to the email logging in BC?
They will. We're using out-of-box emailing functionality in order to trigger the emails out of Business Central. So anything with that, yes, would be the answer to your question. And additionally, kind of the prerequisite here is that you have the email accounts actually set up in Business Central. So of course, to enable the sending of the emails out, you've got to have at least a current user or shared mailbox or an SMTP, something like that set up. We have some instructions to do that as well if you don't already have it set up, but that is the one prerequisite, having the email accounts enabled, and then it will follow all logging and email outbox and email failure and all that kind of thing in the out-of-box Business Central table. So good question there. Alrighty, I'm going to keep going here. So on the invoice reminder dashboard now, here is where we can see, if I come over, I'm going to sort by the due date real quick. This would be everything that is not been paid yet, right? So the invoice reminder dashboard is filtering down to anything that's not been paid. We can see this invoice that we just created. It's not due until 8/8. So in this case, it wouldn't generate us a past due reminder yet, even if I did try to send the past due reminder, because it hasn't hit that 1 day overdue yet, right? So I've got one down here. I've actually got a few that I can likely run. These are all past due now, and my first reminder will go out 1 day after. So if I come into any of these and I go send reminder email and I send this out, it's going to do two things. One, it tells you when the last reminder was sent. So this is where the next formula is triggering off of, right? So it won't send another one until it's been 7 days from now. And I'm going to pull this email down that I just got. So at 11/14, I just got this. Thanks for being a valued client. Your invoice was due on 7/25. And all it's doing again is attaching that invoice that we just took a look at, right? So again, helping facilitate past due reminders, get paid faster by your customers, reduce their day sales outstanding, increase cash flow. Those are kind of all of the key hits when working with this tool internally, right? So as we continue to look at that, I'm going to jump back into Business Central. And the last piece would be the statements when looking at kind of the dunning notices and working with documents. And then we'll flip and spend the last 5 or so minutes on our recurring dashboard so that we can do recurring sales orders and sales invoices. So before that, the last piece we are going to jump into is our statements. And if I come in here to our statement dashboard, statement delivery dashboard right here, Instead of listing out all the invoices, this is going to list out all of our customers, right? So again, I can see here, this was the customer that I was just working with. We can see the last time that we sent them a statement. I just ran it real quick before this call just to ensure that everything was up to par. So we can see that 1054 timestamp. But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to send the statement to this one customer. Something I didn't mention yet, which is applicable to all of these dashboards, is I could select as many of these as I'd like, and I could process them all at the same time. And with a click of a button, they will all go out at the same time. That's why we have those consolidation rules at the customer level to define how things need to be consolidated. If on the invoices or the reminders, you have multiple documents for the same customer, right? So for this, I'm just going to go ahead and send this one statement. And if you remember from my customer setup, we've got this consolidated into one email with separate files. So what that's going to do is it's going to send us one email. It's going to send us one statement document in that email. And then it looks like there's a bunch of invoices on this one, but it's going to attach one PDF per invoice. So this kind of gets out of the realm of, oh, I never got the invoices. I see the statement, but I need copies and things like that. This is going to help automate it. It's going to send them their statement directly. It's going to send them all the invoice attachments in case for some reason they don't have them, so that they can quickly go and book that in their system. Now, from your standpoint, utilizing the statement dashboard, you can now see when the last time statements were sent, who sent them, how they were sent, what the last statement number was, and you can drill directly into your customer from this dashboard if you need to update or change anything. Again, this customer card is going to be where we define those emails that they're going to. You can have multiple emails selected here. You can have, again, the ellipsis to show one email per document type if for some reason different people receive different documents. And then we've got those delivery options for the statements and the invoices. So on this one, there were quite a few different invoices, as we can see here, but this customer is now getting their statement. If I open up this statement, we've also created a custom, easy to use statement that gets deployed with our app. So what this is going to show quickly is just the original amount, the remaining amount, and the running total. This one's a 2-pager, but you also have the age summary at the bottom as well. So just kind of a simple, easy to use statement format that you can start using on day one of downloading Invoice and Statement Delivery. And again, it attaches all of the supporting documentation for every invoice that was on that statement in order to make it super easy for your customer to kind of take a look at this and potentially book anything that, you know, they may say they have not received in the past. So that's it for kind of the AR automation standpoint from a document delivery standpoint. Before I jump into the recurring document functionality, are there any other questions on sending invoices, credit memos, payment receipts, or sending statements and past due reminders? Again, the payments and the past due reminders and the statements can both be run from that dashboard, or they can be set on a job queue. So that's something to keep in mind for all of these. The first three can be sent on post, since there is not really a posting of statements or the reminders. Those would either be sent directly from the dashboard or on a job queue. So most people are using the job queue because it's very hands-off. It allows it to run systematically and automatically go out so that you don't have to rely on folks remembering to send them out. The system's going to do it for you. And that's kind of the power of the tools like this, right? Getting things out to your customers faster and more efficiently. So with that, I'll take a few questions right now, Grant. Otherwise, I will jump over to the recurring dashboards.
Yeah, Ben, the chat box is clear.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. So the last feature or function in Invoice and Statement Delivery, if I come back all the way out to my home screen here, is the recurring documents. So most people are familiar with kind of the recurring general journals and things like that, the copy document functionality on sales orders and sales invoices today, and then also maybe the sales lines, right? The default sales lines. There's also the default purchase lines that I know may be a little bit more popular as well. But the idea behind this is to make using those things easier, right? So now you can come out to the recurring sales documents and actually start to set up documents that are going to be used month to month, right? So how does this work? It works just like a sales order or a sales invoice. You're going to set up your header information, your line information, and then the additional piece that we've added here is these recurring settings. So you can set the recurring frequency, again, just out-of-box Business Central formulas. In this case, it's going to send it out on the 1st of every month. We have some recurring and posting options. So in this case, I'm going to create it and leave it open, but you could also create it and immediately release it, or you could even create and post it. So now if you create and post it with the other features we have with Invoice and Statement Delivery, if you have send on post, you could have your kind of recurring invoices that go out on a monthly basis literally all happen behind the scenes. They'd be created automatically, posted automatically, and even sent out automatically. So for anything that's recurring and not changing, you could completely automate that process and become hands-off. Now, the other few fields here, we've got the next occurrence date, in this case, 8/1. As I post this, it will increment that to 9/1, so on and so forth until it hits the expiration date. And then we also have the ability to do some wild cards here, right? So 3 and 4, that's going to do month and year. So it's just going to say recurring MSP for August 2023. So some really cool functionality there. You can set up all of the recurring documents you have for all of the different customers. You would simply highlight all of them and then generate the new documents. So I'm going to go out to our recurring dashboard. So the screen I was just showing was kind of the setup. The recurring dashboard is actually going to pull in everything once it's within a few days of needing to be generated. So it's not going to bog you down. It's only going to show you the things that need to be generated. We can see here that the next occurrence date is 8/1. So I'm absolutely going to want to generate this. When I generate this sales document, remember that I've got the create and leave open option selected here. So when I go into my sales invoices, it will have that up because I didn't say to release it and I didn't say to post it. If I did, it would have done those actions as well. So now I can quickly see I've got my recurring MSP for August 2023. Everything else here is good to go. And I can either post this document one-off since we only have one for the demo today, or if I had multiple, I could go select all of them and post them all at the same time. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and post this real quick. I'll get another email because I've got the auto post on send turned on from Invoice and Statement Delivery. And again, kind of the whole thought behind that is for any of your clients or for yourself, if you have recurring documents that are going out every month, that's going to be a huge time saver. You don't have to go and copy document for each individual one anymore. You don't have to use the recurring sales lines. You can simply just set up a template once, put a recurring frequency on it, and then every single month when that date hits, it will generate those new documents for you, and then also potentially send them out automatically if you have that piece turned on as well. So with that, that is kind of the full presentation here. Grant, any additional questions that I can answer now? I know we've got a few minutes left before wrapping this thing up, so happy to go back over any questions or any additional things that I didn't cover. If anybody needs information on, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, Ben. So right now it looks like we don't have any questions in the chat box, but if everyone wants to hop over there real quick, we put the link for the Invoice and Statement Delivery free trial. So you can go check that out if you haven't gotten it yet. We have an activation step-by-step for those of you that haven't downloaded an extension in Business Central yet. And we also have our next Toolbox Tuesday registration link. So let's hop over to pricing. So for Invoice and Statement Delivery, that is $900 a year. That is priced per tenant, which means if you have multiple users, multiple companies, it is all inclusive in that $900 a year. For those of you that have seen our Essentials Toolbox Tuesday, Invoice and Statement Delivery is a part of that Essentials bundle. Those are the 6 extensions that we believe every single company should have in Business Central. Ben, could you pop over to the next slide?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So next Toolbox Tuesday, everyone, we're going to be going over advanced prepayments. That's the link that we put in the chat. That is going to be on August 22nd at 11 a.m. Central Standard. And Ben, we do have a question that came in the chat. Can you set up recurring invoices for a customer on the 15th and the end of the month?
Yep, absolutely. So I see that question from Don now. We can absolutely set up recurring invoices twice a month, and we would just use those out-of-box date filters on the Invoice and Statement Delivery setup. So Don, I can reach out to you after this if you're looking to set that up. We can absolutely do that.
Awesome. So with that, I have also put our emails into the chat box as well. Anyone on the call, you can reach out to Ben or I at any time. We'll help you with anything you need, or you can reach out to info@erpconnectconsulting.com. but we see that we're starting to get a steady group of people showing up on all our Toolbox Tuesdays. Thank you all for showing up and being repeat offenders here. And let me see. One more question. Where can we find the past recordings of these talks?
Absolutely. So we've got a full YouTube channel. There's about 40 videos on there, but we do have our 3 past Toolbox Tuesdays recorded, and they're all on our YouTube channel. Grant, if you want to link that in the chat, I think that'd be super helpful. So if anybody wants to go back and look at those, they absolutely can. I will be converting this to a YouTube video later this evening, and I can send the link out to everyone today as well for anybody who wants to distribute this to anybody else at their organization or any of their colleagues that would be interested in invoice and statement delivery as well. So good question. And thank you, Grant, for posting that.
Yeah, of course. So looks like we don't have any more questions coming in, but once again, everyone, please feel free to reach out to us. This has been the 4th installment of Toolbox Tuesday. We'll see y'all on August 22nd for advanced prepayments.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.